Welcome to the Dakotans Election Central. This is our coverage of the 2024 election cycle in North Dakota. I'm Jonathan Starr, and today I'm joined by no stranger to North Dakota politics, Charles Tuttle. Charles, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Before we jump into the hard-hitting questions of why you're running and what your issues are and all the fun stuff that we're going to be able to talk about, first tell us just a little bit about who Charles Tuttle is.
Well, I think everybody in North Dakota kind of knows who I am. I'm the petition guy.
The petition guy.
But prior to that, I've always been involved in Republican politics. I worked on John Kasich's first congressional campaign in 1980. I'm an Eagle Scout, so I've always been in leadership and always been involved in things. I was a school president. I heard the Vic being interviewed by BET, and were you ever involved in any leadership roles in high school and this and that? So you could say all that stuff. I was an elite runner. I ran for the Ohio State University.
The Ohio State University,
and that's actually a term we use in the sense that it has to be stated because they were sued for their name.
Okay. And
so in the court case where they lost because Ohio University had Ohio first, they were an older university, we changed our name to the Ohio State University. Everybody thinks that we're cocky. Yeah. Well, we are. We are. But it really was really a legal definition to have to use publicly. So,
but you're an Ohio boy.
I am an Ohio boy, yes.
Okay. And you were mentioning just before we started the cameras rolling that you were in a paper and help manage?
I was a marketing company. I marketed the Plain Dealer. First, I started to dispatch in Columbus, and I developed a market there. And the company that I had developed a market for sent me to Cleveland because they were having problems developing that market. And I was really kind of good at what I did. And they went belly up.
Okay.
And I went home to take care of my mom. She passed away in 2003. And I got a call from the Plain Dealer saying, "Hey, Tuttle, you come and work for us direct." And I'm like, well, I had a no-compete. Yeah. And they're like, well, don't worry about that. They're defunct.
Okay. Yeah, it's no good no more.
So I went and worked for the Plain Dealer for about 10 to 15 years. And
that's awesome.
Marketed. I did the Cavs, the Indians. I did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I did all their event marketing. So everywhere from Port Clinton, the Woolly Bear Festival, the fish fry in all the way the lake area up there, Akron. I did, the Indians, the orchestra. And Cleveland Orchestra was ranked third best orchestra in the world. So the things that I got to do was just it was a dream job.
Right. So what brought you to North Dakota then?
Well, I've always been involved in petitioning around the country issues, and I was actually working on an Obamacare in Colorado. And I got a call from a friend of mine in Texas saying, "Hey, you want to go to North Dakota and abolish the property tax?"
All right. So this would have been like 2008 timeframe?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I said, we're maybe a little before that. I'm like, where's North Dakota, right? We were sitting in the ground round in Denver, Colorado, and we looked on the map, and we drove that night to Minot.
Okay.
And I set up at the marketplace with a gal by the name of Clayanne Armquist, and the rest is history. I went to church a couple of times and realized this Catholic church in North Dakota was the strongest church I've ever seen in the Catholic sense. And they kneel at the end of Mass instead of run out like a fire drill. So I was like, whoa,
that's a little different.
What is this? I was running out like a fire drill. I realized I was the only one that stood up. Yeah. Like, who saw me?
That's funny.
So, yeah.
All right. So what made you stay, though? The politics made you stay?
Well, it was everything. I don't know if you ever heard my speech in 2018 when I ran for Congress. I said, I was petitioning with a guy, and he had his van running. We're going into the grocery store. I said, hey, someone's going to steal your van. And he's like, no, they're not going to steal my van. Well, yeah, it's running. Right. And he's like, well, that would be wrong.
That would be wrong.
And I'm like, what a novel idea.
Yeah, that would be wrong.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a place like that?
Yeah, right. You found it.
Yeah, it's here. Right.
It's here.
And it's a great state.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, really thank you for coming on today. And I'm excited to talk a little bit politics. So you have made the decision to go ahead and run for the Senate seat in District 40.
Yes.
What prompted this decision?
Well, it's the best fit for me. I'm probably the only guy around that can hit the ground running.
Okay.
Already know the issues. Already know what's going on in North Dakota. I'm involved in about everything there is, whether it was Fufang, the Chinese, whether it's digital currency, whether it's the carbon pipeline, and I'm always on the right side. People say, "Well, you never win." Well, we won with term limits. Mm-hmm. I won that. I won the first.
That was a group campaign, right?
Yep, group campaign. I brought the term limits people. Actually, I brought the term limits people the first time into North Dakota when we, if you remember, the constitutional measure to have to be a U.S. citizen in order to vote.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because I was petitioning in front of the over by the, what do they call it, in Minot, by the police station.
Okay.
The auditorium. So I'm petitioning with the auditorium at an election for school board. And this couple comes out, and they can't sign my petition because one's from Canada, one's from Mexico. I'm like, well, how'd you vote in the school board election? Well, Mr. Vollmer said that we could vote in that because I voted. So I talked to some people that I know, and I said, hey, we got to make sure that in North Dakota you have to be a U.S. citizen in order to vote.
Yeah. And
so that's what we did, and we put it on the ballot, and we got it passed.
Wow.
And then the next thing you know, I was talking to, I think it was Jeff Magrum at the legislature. I said, hey, term limits wants to do term limits in North Dakota. And
right.
I put Jeff on the phone with some of these people, and
it happened.
It happened. Yeah.
And so you feel like you're uniquely qualified because you ran for many offices, correct?
Well, I'm uniquely qualified because I know the issues, and I'm on the right side of the issues. Whether it's property rights, I help people with land patents. We're not going to allow eminent domain. We have a lot of problems in North Dakota because we're very rich, and the carpetbaggers are coming into our state, taking our money out. And I know that. I see it. I go to the school land board meetings. Nobody that I know of goes to those land board meetings. I've been there. I go to every one. I remember the first time I went to one, they were like, what are you doing here? I said, well, it's an open meeting, right? And I remember Jeff Enderle saying to me, can I help you with anything? I said, no, I'm just here to watch the meeting. Yeah. And if you watch, you see these investment companies come in and want our billions of dollars to take out of state, invest. Right. You hear about it. They're in Black, what is it? BlackRock or whatever it is. Right. All these things that we've invested in. I think the School Land Trust last year lost $600 million in investments in Wall Street. We need to, start bringing this money home. I have actual, it's funny. I don't even know what Doug Burgum or Kelly Armstrong's plan for North Dakota is. Yeah. I have a plan.
You have a plan.
I have a plan.
What are your issues?
We should have under $1 a gallon gas. Every oil-producing country in the world, Venezuela, Dubai, some of them even have free gas. Yeah. Okay, we allow these companies to come in and wholesale that. We wholesale it to them. They take it out, and they come back and retail it to us. There's no reason why we shouldn't have oil reserves that belong to North Dakota. We have a mill. We have a bank. We have all of these things. Why aren't we investing some of our money into infrastructure, gold and silver? Why don't we have our own mint at our bank? Yeah. We need to do that. We need to start securing North Dakota.
These are great things, but what about the how? Do you see that the ability to work with other legislatures
if they care about North Dakota? Of course. I think we have to get people away from. We have a big fight in our party. You've seen that.
We got questions about that.
Well, that's what's going on. We've got a fight whether it's North Dakota first or if it's special interest. Yeah. When you have districts that actually are being brought, all these lobbyists come in to take over a district. We have lobbyists that actually took over one of our district executive committees. Every one of them, Amy Kopis with the ND-Cell, Robbie Lott. These are people that are lobbyists or they handle PACs for the establishment. And these people have come in to try and control districts. And I'm a guy for the people.
Yeah, I mean, but we saw that just a few years ago where there was a concerted effort to take over districts as well. So it's something that happens.
Well, and we're learning. We've learned now, if you listen to Curly Haugen, who's an expert on the rules and that, we're learning now that it was wrong for them to go into the legislature and legislate Perry Schaefer's ability to appoint district chairs. We know that is not legal now. We know that the Republican Party is not a permanent organization, so that every convention is a new body. We don't have to go by the old rules that they're trying to use to stop people like myself or Rick Becker to run for offices. They're trying to make it where you have to pay to play. Mm-hmm. That's not the way our party is supposed to be. Our party is the party of Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's the people's party.
So I want to go back to the issues, but we've talked about a myriad of subjects so far. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you a specific question. What do you say to the person that Googles your name? If you Google Charles Tuttle, you find a lot of different articles, and there's multiple run-ins with law enforcement about a myriad of things, some lighter, some heavier. I'm not interested in going through all of them. But
why don't you go with the heavier ones?
Well,
my divorce 20-some years ago, is that what? Well, they like to put that out there.
Yeah, there's more than just a divorce that's mentioned on the first page of Google. My question, though, is do you feel like this affects a voter's ability to trust your character?
Well, I don't think Google and people's articles, when you say law enforcement, the only law enforcement issues I've ever had are when it comes to First Amendment rights. Now, if you're going to talk about my divorce and the accusations of my ex-wife, those were never with law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Okay? If they were, then I'd say you have an issue. But there was never any criminal issues. It was a divorce custody battle. I've got a track record of shared parenting advocacy. I'm the only guy in the history of North Dakota that actually put an initiative on the ballot all by myself. That was shared parenting, to give both moms and dads equal parenting time so long as they were fit parents.
Dickinson Press says Indian man faces trial for placing Trump signs on Boulevard. That was an issue that you ran into.
That's the First Amendment issue, yeah. You know what happened there?
Just a minute. I got a few more. Court docs show abuse accusations against independent House candidate. That was a Grand Forks Herald in 2018.
Whoa. That's not when it happened. That was my divorce 20-some years ago.
Right. I'm not saying that's when it happened.
Don't paint it like it happened yesterday. That's exactly what we were talking about. And there was no criminality there. Mm-hmm. That was a custody battle. And anyone who's gone through a custody battle knows, and all of those accusations were found to be false.
Hey, I'm not trying to cast accusations. I'm just curious from a voter's...
Put it in chronological order.
I'm not trying to put it in any order.
I know.
My question, Mr. Tuttle, is what should the voters view that as? Is there any character concerns that they should be worried about?
Not at all. If you're talking about the signs on the boulevard, Cressup, the judge, went to the prosecutor and said, what is this? Mm-hmm. We were actually vaudeering a jury. I said, let's go to a jury trial on this.
Right.
It was about Trump signs on the boulevard.
Yeah.
Okay. And Cressup, the judge, says, I haven't seen anyone charged with signs on the boulevard since the flood, and nobody on that jury is going to believe. And he's looking at the prosecutor. He says, what are you doing with this? And he says, get rid of this. We're in the back room with the judge. And she looks at me and she goes, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, dismiss it with prejudice. Well, I got to go talk to the chief of police.
Yeah.
Well, what's Olson got to do with it? Evidently, Chief Olson didn't like Trump. And so, what happened was the police came, sat at my stand and said, well, hey, you got to remove these signs. We'll give you an hour. And 2 hours later, they come back. I hadn't removed them because I have a First Amendment right. I'm selling the signs. Mm-hmm. Okay? If Donald Trump was running for president, these were Trump signs, yard signs people could put in their yard. So every time, even the Grand Forks Herald, okay, they tried to get me for, I think it was unloading in whatever it was, they dropped it.
Yeah.
You know what? Right now, we have a problem in North Dakota. We're trying to petition the government. And the government, the Civic Center, the Alaris, even though we have Attorney General's opinions allowing us to redress grievance of our government at these places, they're telling us we can't. They've trespassed me at the Civic Center. I did the recall on Mike Seminary, the mayor of Bismarck, with the mayor that became mayor after that, Steve Bakken, at the front door of the Civic Center. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying you have to be 100 feet away.
Yeah. So your home was also under search with the term limits campaign, I believe. To do signatures.
Me raided.
Right. Okay.
With a warrant.
So I think a question that I have is because it feels like but there's a small resemblance of a picture being painted that maybe sometimes there's a target on your back.
Probably.
Why do you feel that way?
Well, I don't feel that way. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. There is people out there who don't like me speaking out against the theft of the school land trust. House Bill 1080, where oil companies were stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. The Supreme Court of North Dakota told the legislature that these people have to pay this. I think it was Continental, and it was Newfield Gas. They were trying to get out of having to pay what they owed in these lease agreements. There's all kinds of things going on when it comes to the audit in the Williston School District. We've got hundreds of millions of dollars missing. So, yes, I'm out there speaking out against this stuff. For instance, Minot, we're going to be here tonight. You know, if people would follow the Constitution, it says a high degree of intelligence, patriotism, integrity, and morality on the part of every voter in order to preserve the government and the happiness and welfare of the people. We have education in our Constitution. Right. Okay? It's important. Right now, these guys, our Vollmer and all of these guys at the school board, they're wanting the taxpayers to come up with the $6 million, or they're going to close 2 schools down, which they claimed that we were busting at the seams, that we had to have all this new school, right, $100 million. If you remember right, the first $100 million bond, maybe you weren't here, Bob Hale and myself campaigned against it, got the numbers and produced. We actually did a FOIA request, got emailed. We saw where they were lying behind closed doors, trying to give this appearance of neediness. We had 1,000 less students in 1980 and 1990 than we have today.
That's interesting. Okay. Our city has grown overall, though. Why?
Our city is not that. No. Our schools are not growing at the rate that they're saying. They don't have this issue. They didn't need a high school, first of all. But it doesn't really matter because guess what? The Constitution says that the Legislative Assembly shall provide for a uniform system of free public schools throughout the state. If you go to Article 10, Public Finance and Debt, it says the Legislative Assembly shall be prohibited from defraying those expenses of the state through the levying of assessed value of real or personal property. But it's unconstitutional to use property tax to fund schools, period.
Right. I just think it's interesting because I get the overall issue, but also, I mean, running for District 40 House or Senate, excuse me, I apologize, District 40 Senate.
That's right.
It's all. There's going to be those state issues that you're fighting for, but also for Minot, there should be some care there. And if the population is declining
it doesn't matter. It's what I'm saying. The Legislative Assembly is to provide for that, period. Yeah. If it grows and they need a high school, then guess what? The Legislative Assembly shall provide for a uniform system. You have to live by the Constitution.
Should Minot be worried, though, if there's a decline in the schools by 1,000 students?
How would that affect Minot? If there's a decline, you have a school building. First of all,
I don't care about the new school building and all that. I'm saying, should Minot as a whole be worried because you drive through North Dakota and you see ghost towns? Is that what? Let me tell
you what will solve that problem. We start teaching reading, writing, arithmetic. We get back the best schools that we had before they started dumbing down our kids. Stop using the ACTs because we can't score more than 15. You know, I ran for superintendent of public instruction. I know all the proficiency scores. I know what's going on in our schools, and we need to get this back to where our schools. If you got your kids in school today, in public school, you're probably doing your children a disservice in North Dakota because the proficiency scores are so bad. Kirsten's even told legislators in the last session that some of our schools have zero proficiency.
Yeah.
Now, how many people running for office know these things?
It's a good question. Thankfully, I'm homeschooled, so I get to avoid some of that.
I homeschooled too.
Over the years, you've ran for multiple offices, and you just kind of alluded to that. Concerning the superintendent for public instruction, if you visit your Facebook page, which I assume is your office one, Charles Tuttle for
Nope.
North Dakota.
No,
There
the
was
one that's got the Kevin Costner, the postman is my main page.
And that, I mean, it's a complicated deal. It looked like there was a post on it 3 days ago. It looked like it was the one, not your personal one, but the one that was about your running for office. On it, there was a Facebook cover that said Superintendent of Public Instruction. That was the office you were running for. In the bio, it said, mentioning that you're running for Indy Secretary of State. And then, of course, you're actually declared, as we've already mentioned, for the District 40 Senate seat. Do you feel that a voter should be concerned about your running for multiple, year in, year out, running for multiple offices across different parties?
Well, voters, what?
Well, you ran as an independent.
It's not a party.
You ran as a Republican.
No. See,
and you also ran as your own party, correct?
No.
You never started your own party?
No.
Okay, where did that rumor come from?
You mean the Trump Republican Party? That was not mine. That was Mitch Sanderson's. But as a petitioner, I was petitioning for it. I petitioned for the Libertarian Party. That doesn't make me a Libertarian. I have paid my state and my district dues ever since I've been to North Dakota. I even pay my state dues when there's not a convention, which most people don't do. And I've sat at the Republican booth at the state fair 8 years in a row till they realized that I was actually talking conservative. And the Hovens, and the Kramers, and the establishment who don't adhere to the Republican platform don't want us being there talking conservative issues. We had 2 senators that just voted to give $60 billion to Ukraine when we can't even do anything, whatever. We can't even do our own border. Okay? I mean, we're destroying this country. I have a passion for our state, and I know I know the agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, right here, I brought this.
I brought this
here. This is a book.
YouTube probably won't like that.
What the Nurses Saw.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is about the actual plan of the protocols that were used to kill people in our hospitals. And it's still going on with Remdesivir, and it's got personal counts. I've got the election integrity initiative that I'm doing.
Right.
I helped to write it. It's to go to paper ballots. Anyone who reads this and believes in election integrity, whether you think there was a stolen election in 2020 or not, would say, yeah, this makes sense. We want all 398 precincts open so everybody has an easy place to go and vote in person. We have so much money in North Dakota, there's no reason to even have. Did you know that Mark Zuckerberg had money in 43 counties in North Dakota? I guarantee anyone running against me right now doesn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
but how does that affect District 40?
How does that affect District 40? It affects our elections. Isn't District 40 a part of the election process?
Absolutely.
Okay, of course. Anything that affects this state. You know, when you're a senator, you should know everything that's necessary around the state. Whether China's coming into Grand Forks.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was there? I didn't see Hoven. I didn't see Kramer. I didn't see a lot of state legislators. In fact, when we were down at the Capitol and we were fighting the masks, we were fighting the vaccines, I didn't see a lot of legislators. I definitely didn't see any of the people that I'm running against. They obviously aren't active in that sense. This is what I do. I don't do anything but causes that help North Dakota. I just help to have a senior center reopened in Gladstone, North Dakota.
That's awesome.
I just helped a young lady who was an exchange student from Japan who the city of Bismarck, or the school system of Bismarck, wasn't going to let her come into their school district. I had to take them the century code, showing them where this is truancy. You cannot prevent her from going to school here.
You've been the proponent behind a lot of good causes, and some of them.
I'm an advocate.
Have been success. Yeah, which is
That's what
fantastic.
you have to be.
Which is fantastic. That there's advocates out there, but my question goes back to: does that make it where it is difficult for you to be, in the eyes of the voters, difficult for you to actually be their district senator?
Well, I would think not. I mean, I got to tell you, I watched your interview with AJ, and I watched your interview with Matt, and you know the truth is that Karen Kretzbaum was a horrible, horrible Republican. Okay, now everybody thinks that she brought money to Minot. Why are we giving $400,000 to the fair? There's no reason. political subdivisions legally can't be doing what they're doing. Okay, I just saw where the Minot City Council wants to take over this homeless
Project
thing,
D.
right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I went right back. You know what? First thing that hit my mind was Davy Crockett.
All right.
You ever heard that? It ain't your money.
It ain't your money. There you go.
Yes, and that's what people don't understand. It's not, and these guys, you know, I fought the garages downtown.
Yeah,
I've been involved in the landfill. Okay, I've been involved in my city. I've been involved in my state. I've been involved in my county issues. I go to the county meetings. I go to the city council meetings. I was giving away at the legislature 8 years ago a book called It's Perfectly Normal, before anybody even knew that the American Library Association was trying to queer our shelves. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, when I heard the city council the other night use the LGBTQ thing with this homeless shelter, I'm like, what has that got to do with it?
Yeah. I don't know.
It made no sense to me. It's like saying, oh, you know, the heterosexuals, we should put that in there too. It's got nothing to do with homeless shelters or who's going to be responsible. Why aren't we asking the churches? Why don't we have any dialogue with churches through our city council?
Yeah.
So these are things, I'm passionate about all of these things that affect our community. And I would think anybody would want someone that's going to be passionate and fight for them and make sure that we follow the Constitution. We don't lose our rights to bear arms. I'm pro-life. I heard AJ ran as a Democrat 6 years ago.
All right.
Okay? And
we're in now.
It was interesting. I'm thinking, I didn't know this. The guy joins our district maybe a year or two ago. Okay? Then he writes bylaws. And I'm thinking afterwards, now hindsight, how did this guy get into our district and he's a Democrat? And now, I guarantee you he couldn't tell me our platform, but he knows it. I've got this mailer that he sent out, and it's all in there about how, you know, he's Republican this and Republican that. Well, what part of him is Democrat? Because obviously for 6 or 7 years.
Did you listen to our interview where he talked about that?
I did, and it doesn't make sense because you know what? Kentucky, where he came from, the Democrats there just voted the worst pro-choice bill there is. So they're not close to being blue dogs like he wants people to believe.
And did you remember the part where he felt like there was a huge change in 2016?
Well, he lost. He lost to Matt Ruby.
Yeah, but
so that was the big change.
What happened in 2016?
We don't know. He doesn't have a record.
What happened in 2016?
What's his record?
Who was voted in 2016?
Well, Donald Trump.
Okay, and that changed
But
politics
I don't see
forever.
him with. I don't.
I don't know. That's not my.
I ran against Kelly Armstrong because I knew at the convention. See, I've been at the convention. I was at the Republican convention in 2016. I saw Kelly run around with John Kasich and the Never Trumpers going behind the backs, going to each of the delegations, trying to get them to do what's called unbound. Okay? They were trying to undermine Trump then. The Republicans are. And, you know, Hoeven, look, every one of our congressional people, Hoeven, Kramer, and Armstrong, endorsed Doug Burgum. Doug Burgum is not even close to a Republican. You realize that he only got 5% of the convention that he was at.
Doug Burgum has been an interesting character.
Well, he's not an interesting character. He's
even with
evil.
His run for president. Yeah,
I'm telling you, he's evil.
He might be. I don't know.
He's part of the Bill Gates. I want to kill 6.5 billion people. This came to North Dakota. He told Donald Trump, I'll never forget it. Oh, I never shut down North Dakota. We were 95% open.
Yeah.
What? He shut down the churches. He shut down everything.
Let's talk Charles Tuttle. What are the top 3 key issues that you are campaigning on for District 40?
Well, the top three. First of all, it's stop using property tax to fund schools.
That's one.
We're going to go to the Constitution, and we're going to follow the Constitution.
What's number 2?
Okay. I would like to start looking at all of these unconstitutional laws that we've passed, the seatbelt one. Just we've got to go back to the basics. When the legislature, I had a legislative friend. Now I want to say this too. I actually have legislators that are endorsing me. I'll be putting their names out there. I'm not just saying that. Okay? I have one legislative friend say, finally. I had someone say, Lori Henson's going around saying she's using a wooden spoon to stir the pot. Well, Tuttle's going to use an oar.
All right.
Okay? I mean, I know what we've got to do. We've got to roll back human services. We've got to get our schools back. Mm-hmm. People have got to start speaking out. The failure of our DPI superintendent, the failure of our school systems, and how we are paying for something now, $2 billion. How many people know the budget? How many people know that we spent $19.6 billion last year, biennium-wise?
Well, just by how things went down in Minot with the annual budget with City Council, I don't think enough people look into the budgetary
and if
stuff.
you go back to Minot, we were at a $32 million budget before the flood. Now I understood why we went to $100 million after the flood, to clean up all that, but we never went back. We got 87 police officers. We have a SWAT team. See, these are things I know.
Right.
I'm very informed about all the issues, and I can explain to anyone that needs to know what we have to do to change the direction
we're getting close to the end here, but one more question. There's been
told you need longer than 30 minutes.
There's been a lot of change in North Dakota politics in the past 6 months, really.
Yeah.
But 6 to 8 months. We've seen, and I've asked this question to a lot of the candidates. We've seen changeover with the chairman of the Republican Party in the state. We've seen our governor declare that he is not going to run for a third term. We've seen, and he also ran for president. We've seen our House of Representatives go and say he will declare for governor. There's a Democrat that is going against Kelly Armstrong, and then
who's for the House of what? Who's that?
So the Kelly Armstrong declared he's running for governor, right? And there's a Democrat running against him, and then for the House we have Becker, Campbell, and Hammer all running for that spot. Just a lot of change in one cycle, and that's not something that we've seen in North Dakota for a while. We've had a lot of stability in our.
We don't have stability. Don't say stability.
Okay, but we've had a lot of consistency in our leaders.
We've had a lot of.
So, do we feel like North Dakota politics is stable right now? Is there concern that voters should have for the state? And is the Republican Party stable?
No, it hasn't been stable for a long time. We have bullies. We have people. Look. John Hoeven stole the nomination in the convention, in the last convention that he was in. He brought in 187 delegates. He went out and he had his aides calling every co-op, and he credentialed these people illegally. So anyone that's willing to
Some people would call that politics.
No, that's stealing an election. There's a deadline. If you can't get your people there, you can't buy them. And what's happening is, and this is what's always happened, even when I ran against Kelly and Tom, and I told them, if you listen to my speech, I was going till November. I knew I had to go as an independent. And the only reason you go as an independent is because you never get to debate them in the primary. The primary is an illegal event. The primary is a way in which you can have Democrats get voted in, like Burgum. Burgum could never have won a nomination from the party on the party principles. So he goes around, just like Kramer did. Brian Kirk was, Kalk was the nominee when Kramer went around and used Harold Hamm's millions of dollars.
But when you say that it's illegal, what basis are you saying
it
that off of?
It violates the First Amendment right of a Republican.
So it's not necessarily violating actual law in North Dakota.
It violates the Constitution. If I'm not able, I have a right as a Republican to assemble with like-minded Republicans. Okay, the primary was created by progressives who said, okay, how do we infiltrate this? Well, we set up a primary. We can go around, and then we don't have to live. The people will never know that this guy's not a Republican. He wins the primary as a Republican. You get 300 signatures. You got $1 billion. You can send out 1,000 flyers.
So then you go in at the last Republican convention, you have Becker, who doesn't get the endorsement from the convention. He says he's going to respect the convention, and then he runs as an independent.
Well, how can you respect it when you find out that the person that beat you
I'm just saying his words.
violated the rules and violated
That's what his
everything.
words were on
I
the
understand
stage.
that, but you can't discredit him when he realizes that the guy that's running is tyrannical and doesn't care about our country. He only cares. John Hoeven doesn't care about North Dakota. He doesn't care about the United States of America. He has just, how should I put it? He has no character. Okay, doesn't stand. He came to one Stop the Steal rally, and then we never heard from him again about the 2020 election.
Is your district going to let you run as a Republican?
Well, we're going to find out, because the way the rules are, we've got AJ, a Democrat, who wrote these rules, evidently. I don't know how that even got in there, or who even. How did he even know about that?
He's been part of the Republican Party for
2 years?
Over that, yeah.
2 years.
At
So
least.
he's
I don't
been
know
a Democrat.
exactly how many years.
How old is he? This is the problem we have in the Republican
But that's not the question.
Party.
The question is, is your party going to let you?
We don't know.
Your
We'll
district
find out. The rules say that it's a new assembly, so those rules don't apply. We'll find out when we get there. Okay, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to run for the Senate seat.
Okay.
But I mean,
So
to
you may
allow
run as an
people like
independent?
AJ to set these rules,
But-
AJ needs to explain himself how he put that in there and how he came up with that idea.
Most likely, his chair asked him to help write the bylaws.
No, his chair did not. I've talked to the chair. No one knew that was even in there.
The question that I have is, you're going to run as an independent then?
No.
Okay.
Why would I run as an independent?
I'm asking if your party does
The
not.
reason I ran as an independent
If your district
for the
does not
House-
allow you to run as a Republican, what are you
Well,
going
they
to
have
run
to.
in
No,
the
they
primary?
They can't. You're misunderstanding how the process works.
I'm misstating it. Yes.
You're a Republican. You just don't get endorsed by your district.
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm sure that's not going to happen, because I hope we're not going to allow a Democrat to decide
not the
the
point.
rule.
We're gonna
well,
go on-
for the district. That's my argument to the district. This is not a rule that is enforceable.
So if you're not
based
endorsed,
on what
when-
Curley has been saying
when's-
about the assembly
When's your district's endorsement date?
on the 12th.
Convention? March 12th?
Yep. Now,
Right.
you understand what a deliberative assembly is, right?
And I want to finish this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the primary is in June, correct?
Yes.
All right. So if you're not endorsed by in March, then are you going to? What are you going to run? Are you going to be on the primary ballot?
As a Republican.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah, I mean that's how it works.
Yep.
You know?
Exactly.
Now,
Very
if you
good.
want to go to the general election, then you do as an independent. Independent is not a party, and for people to make rules against people that run as independents, because you're running against people that are not Republicans. That's the reason Becker went. John Hoeven's been a Democrat his whole life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Same with Doug Burgum.
That's
Doug-
a good discussion for another day. If
Well,
someone wants
I'm
to
just letting
support
you know.
Charles Tuttle in his district Senate race, how would they do that?
Well, at this point in time, everybody's got my Facebook, Charles Tuttle, and he's got Kevin Costner as the postman.
So there's a couple Facebook pages out there. Find the right
There's
one.
a bunch of them. My number's on all of them. Everybody's got my number anyways.
Yeah.
So
Very
we'll
good.
find out. And let's go with election integrity and abolishing the property tax in North Dakota, guys.
All right. Thank you for joining us today,
right.
Charles.
All right.
This has been another episode, part of the Dakotans Election Central coverage for the 2024 North Dakota election cycle. Thank you for watching this. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, be part of the Dakotan community, subscribe to our email list, and stay tuned for future episodes. Also, visit mydakotan.com, click Election Central. There you'll find a database of all of the candidates involved in this year's cycle. You can learn more information. You can see interviews like the one we just did. Thank you. Have a great day.